This lesson plan is a 5th grader's perspective on how to change the world. The writer will use an opinion writing piece to create a speech on how they would change the world. They will also create a visual using technology. Here are the standards associated with this project. Students will write opinion pieces, use adult guidance, use technology to publish their final writing piece. Here are some essential questions to go along with this project and some guiding questions. Basically, students are going to answer the question, how will I change the world through my writing speech? To introduce the lesson, I would introduce them with Kid President's speeches. He does a great example in showing how to give a speech, but he also does a great example in giving some examples in how to change the world. Here's a great way to generate ideas on how to change the world. This will be the next step in your project. Problems in the world, community, and school. It'll get students started in the brainstorming process. The next step to do is to use Lino. Students will use Lino to continue brainstorming. I gave them this sentence starter, but they obviously went to town. You can use links and pictures to continue collaborating. Students can write their name in the tags. The next step is for students to start planning. They will use Google Draw to start planning. After they're done planning, they will use Google Docs to start writing their paper. They can use the editing form on Google Docs or the commenting part to start commenting also. These are peer edits. It's not me, it's their friends. Isn't that amazing? After they're done editing, they will use the presentation tools, Prezi and Powtoons, to create their presentations. Let me just show you a few. Here's one student that wrote about war. Here's another student who did a Powtoons. A challenge with Powtoons that I noticed is that the student would keep creating different versions of her project and forget that they were even there. It's kind of difficult to see once you log in. Throughout this lesson, I differentiated from my students in many different ways. I gave them rubrics and checklists that were on different grade levels and came with different types of checklists. I also gave them sentence starters. I gave them key vocabulary terms like persuade, convince, opinion. I also gave them a list of sight words as needed. I gave them templates as needed, for example, for the planning page. I also gave them examples of different speeches. I played different speeches for them. I gave them examples of written speeches. I also provided AT. I gave students speech to text, or I allowed some students who had some social anxiety to record their speeches. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of my rubrics and my checklist. This is a grade 3 checklist from the Lucy Calkins writing unit, and as you can see, it gives them a really great illustration along with the written portion, and it says not yet, starting to, or yes. Their goal is to be at the yes. I'm just going to scroll down to show you. And then it also gives them a grade 4, but it goes from grade 1 all the way to grade 5. So it just depends on where they are in their writing process. The same thing goes with their rubric, and I could just cut them up, or I can find them out to be just for their grade level, depending on where they are. So that they can write depending on their needs. Logging in, I would say, was the biggest troubleshooting error that we encountered. Many students had trouble with that. Some extension activities that I provided my students was going into different websites like freerice.com, and here's some websites right here: Free Flour, Race Oceans. And my students decided that we were going to do that during our center's time because they loved them so much. Another thing that we did was we reflected afterwards, and I gave them these 2 Google Forms. This reflection documents were actually different kinds. So this one was for speeches as they listened, and this one was on the project itself, on if they enjoyed it or how they think they did on the project itself, so I can make changes as I need. Overall, students were motivated to complete this project. They wanted to do it on their free time. They wanted to do it for homework. They wanted to do it in different classes. I was impressed with the amount of writing the students did. I would definitely do this project again, and I noticed that it had a lot to do with the technology.